Every now and again, a scandal hits the papers. Something comes on the phone that alerts you, and you think to yourself, oh my God, this is dreadful. Every now and again, you switch on the news, and there's something just absolutely awful that eats at your heart, and you think, how can that possibly happen? And I'm talking about the stories in which parents abuse their children, or that something happens to children. It turns out the parents were just not keeping a very good watchful eye on the kids. But it's usually those ones in which involves the kids being beaten up, brutalized, and just the kids not being protected, not being cared for, not being looked after by their parents, abused in a horrible and nasty way. And it's awful. And you just think, how do parents who have created this incredible creature, this new life, could ever do such a thing to their offspring? I mean, it beggars belief. But I'm not really talking about that in today's episode. I'm not really talking about that side of things. This is about being a parent. And if you're not a parent, you probably won't get this. There's something going on. You're just not going to understand it. You may empathize a bit. You may have brothers and sisters who are parents, or friends and relations who are parents and what have you. But unless you are actually a parent yourself, you probably won't get the same guttural feeling inside you that eats away at you. Because once you're a parent, once you have a child, whether you're a male or a female, and let's ignore those that seem to, by I don't understand this, by some special magic power of which I would never want, can seem to go, oh, it's just a thing and it's got nothing to do with me. It just happened. I'm not talking about those people who have a child and just don't understand what it is. And there may be loads of those people out there, but I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about people who have a child and go, oh my God, I brought life into this world. What an amazing thing it is. And it is amazing. And we should all be absolutely overwhelmed by this incredible power that two people, a man and a woman, and I'm talking about men and women who are men and women. Let's not go down that sort of wokery nonsense about trying to define what they are. We know what we're talking about. That a man and a woman together can create a new life for the future. And we've done it. I mean, the thing is, the human population has done this since it was a thing. And yet it's still a special and amazing thing that can't yet be done in a lab. Yes, you can take bits of somebody and you can have donations of things, but you can't get it you can't just go like this and create a human being. And thank goodness that you can't do that, that it does take two people who will go through some process in order to create this. Whether it's just a heightened passion and it's an accident, or whether it's a completely thought out design process in using donated bits and bobs. But I'm talking about the actual bit that now you're a parent. Once you go through that transformation, your life changes. I have a daughter. I have a son. I have two sons and a daughter. And my daughter is in New Zealand at the moment, living out there. And she's just going through some personal issues at the moment. I'm not going to go into details. That's her affair and it's not for public broadcast, of course. But it brought home to me, because she is on the other side of the world, that I can't just get in the car and nip over and go, hey, George, Georgie is her name, you all right? Is everything okay? What can I do? How can I help you? What can we do? Because parents want to, generally, most parents, I'm not talking, as I say, I'm not talking about the idiots in this life who have no moral compass. I'm talking about parents. And, you know, you want to go and help your child, but you never, once you've had that child or children, you never stop being a parent, even when they're grown up. My children are in their late 20s and early 30s now, and one of my children has got children of his own. So I've got grandchildren, and you never stop being a parent. Very often you find that parents can treat you as or grandparents even, can treat you as if you've never actually grown up, as if you don't know anything in this world, and they want to do everything for you or try and preempt everything for you, of course. And some parents are like that. And some parents, of course, do the quite reverse, that when you're really small, and you'll say 3 or 4, they're talking to you as if you're 30 and expect you to have worldly wisdom, saying, no, you shouldn't do that because of this, that, and I've told you before. And it's like the kid is still growing and developing and is going, look, I don't really understand what the hell you're talking about. You're talking about as if I was an equal. I'm not an equal because I've only got a few years' experience. Of course, a child can't actually reason like that because they're not old enough to have the experience to reason like that in that example, of course. But you never stop being a parent, and this is the thing. And I know that I will have people out here watching this who will, I assume I will have people out here watching this who will be able to understand and empathise with what I'm saying. That once you're a parent, and parents maybe find themselves, you may be perfectly healthy. I'm perfectly healthy, thank goodness. But you may find that your children are not as perfectly healthy, or as ordered, or as competent, or thinking the same way as you think. They may be independent. They may want to dress their own way. Of course, kids go through a whole range of different things. They go through phases. Yes, it's called phases, where they'll start putting things in their noses, or they'll put tattoos on them, which you think, oh no, I wish you wouldn't do that. You know, in 20 years' time, you're going to regret that, or not. They may not regret it, But parents worry about that sort of thing, don't they? And as the kid grows up, they go through so many different phases, and you go, well, I went through that. And some parents who go, well, it never did me any harm. Oh, yes, my father used to get the belt to me and spank me. I was caned at school, never did me any harm. And others would go, oh my God, I couldn't possibly have that. You've got to clothe them in cotton wool and make sure nothing ever happens to them. And we all go through a completely different degree of what we consider is the right approach for our kids. And some people are right on the extreme of, as I say, doing everything for their children, to the point that their children don't even have to do anything, even in later life. Or they get to the point of absolutely doing nothing and going, right, bye, yeah, no, I don't want anything to do with you, bog off. And life is full of this, isn't it? It is absolutely crazy. So there's no right way. There's no. There's sort of ways that we can. The majority of us would agree about certain things about what you would do with your children, or how you should bring them up, and you want them to be intelligent as they can, so they can do the best. You want the best for your children. You want to embody with them mostly with as much intelligence and learning and a spice for life. You want them to have a good career or a nice job or meet the right partner. And all of this, parents go through all of this. I mean, we as human beings, just as ordinary people, we go through it ourselves. You go through puberty and you go, oh my God, what's happening to my body? What's this all about? I don't understand. And then you have all these sort of sexual feelings which sort of go up and down, and you might be over-sexed for a moment and think, oh yeah, everything that moves, even that plank of wood, I'm up for. And other times you might be, no, this is appalling, absolutely disgusting. I don't want to have anything to do with this sort of weird biology that's going. It's all right for you guys over there, but I'm not having any of this. We all go through all of this, and we're trying to adjust it through all our lives. And then as you grow up, you've got more and more of these things. I need a job, I need intelligence, and of course the world around you is influencing you as people. Social media, a thing that I never had when I was growing up, now is something the kids are going, oh, look at so-and-so, oh, he's doing well, I don't feel so well. You go on Facebook and everybody's smiling and doing incredibly marvellous things, or they're absolutely down in the dumps and depressed as anything. And you get, there's kind of nothing in between. It's like, yes, my life is the best. I'm actually the king of the castle here. Or they're right at the bottom of the pit and they're about to commit suicide. And it's like such an extreme place. And you're thinking, oh my God, what a weird thing. So we as people go through this ourselves. And then we're aware that our children are growing up and they go through this. And kids they climb trees, they fall out, they break arms, they break legs, they may have major complaints, they may be born with a condition that means that you've got to look after that child for the rest of your life, which you may not have ever known about, or you may have had that decision when you were pregnant and told, I'm sorry, that your child has got Down syndrome or some other complaint. And, you've got the option, it's still time to terminate that life. And it's a huge decision. You go, no, I'm not going to do that. And then you've got to live with this decision, and you've got to live with this child, which of course you love, absolutely, and you'll do anything for that. Mostly people would do anything for that. But some people may go, no, it's too much, I can't cope. And this is life. This is the world that we live in, and everybody can surely understand this. But when you're a parent, you never stop. You have times when you'll argue with your sons and daughters, and I've had enough of that. I'm not going to bother to speak with them. No, you go and make your own mistakes. No, don't keep coming to me for money. And maybe the child is a wastrel, or is on drugs, or has a problem like an alcoholic, and you go, I got to help him, but I can't afford to help them. I can't keep shelling out money. They keep saying, oh, you've crashed your car, you've got nowhere to go, you've lost your flat, you've broken up with your boyfriend, you can't do this, that, and the other, and you're desperate. And now I, as the parent, feel duty bound to help you. And I haven't got much, but I will do what I like. I mean, you hear these stories at Christmas time, and you get them on the news, where people who don't have a lot of money will go, we've had a crap year. The poor old kids have done really badly. I've maxed out at Christmas, and I've just bought them anything they wanted on my credit cards. I've maxed out, bought them the world. I'm now hugely in debt. Never gonna repay this 1 year. I've got 3 kids, and I've maxed out, and I've paid for this, that, and the other, so they can have the best Christmas they've ever had, and they'll remember it. And then they spend the rest of the year with the debt collectors banging at the door, and life is pretty awful. And you think, gosh, that's an extreme. But they really they care, and they want to do something for their kids. And maybe they haven't had much in life, and you think, well, I had nothing in life, but I want to make sure my kids have got something. And it's all laudable. Mostly people really care, and they love their kids, and they're concerned. My point, really, of all this rambling is that once you're a parent, you never bloody stop worrying. You never stop thinking about them. I remember when I was growing up and I got into my 20s, and my parents would be like, are you all right? Is everything okay? Can we do anything? My dad was a bit more standoffish, actually, than my mum. My mum was an alcoholic, and so she would want to help, and then she would get into a drunken state, and then be abusive verbally, and ring up 20 times to tell me how she was never going to ring and speak to me ever again. But she would ring up 20 times to say that very same thing. I'm never going to talk to you again, Richard. You are nothing. You're a wastrel. You're a squit. You'll never be anything. You'll never get anywhere, and I want nothing to do with you. You're a mean little slob of a person, and I'm never going to speak to you again. And you're thinking, oh, right, okay, just survive that abuse. And then ring, 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 hello. And another thing, I'm never going to talk to you ever again. And she'll ring. She used to ring up 20, 30 times. You could count them. Honestly, you could count them. In the end, I would pick up the phone and just put the cradle on the side and walk away. And she would talk for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, telling me how awful I was. And you would go back to the phone and go, oh yeah, she's still waffling on. I had to have that sort of very dismissive. Otherwise, I would go bonkers. You may argue that I have gone bonkers, and you're probably right. So I remember, the good times and the bad times with my parents, the interfering, and also the times when I would just go, oh, for goodness sake, I just don't want you around. I'm trying to bring up my child, my first child. We're doing it our way. And they're going, although this is what you should do. No, you're doing it all wrong. This is how you should bring up your child. It's like, no, leave me alone. So I understand it from the child's point of view, from being a kid. Because, of course, I was a kid. I was the child of a parent. So as my kids have grown up, I've tried to remember what it was like being the child of the parent and not being the parent going, oh my, I wish I could do more for my child. Oh, I want to, no, you're doing that wrong. Oh, no, you don't want to marry this person. Oh, you don't want to do it like that. Oh, no, don't feed the baby like that. No, don't talk to it like that. And all this, and you've got to go, you've got to shut your gob because they're finding it out for their own way. And when they want you, when they need you, they will come to you. And that's the time you just got to be ready, isn't it? That's the time where all the abuse that you'd sometimes get, or what seems like abuse, because they're always too busy. They're living their lives. But I remember I was too busy. I was living my life. And my parents were, a generation ahead and boring in some instances, or condescending in others. And you think, but when those kids, they need you, they do need you, and that's the time you've got to forget about that. And life, fortunately, is not just, for most people, a bed of roses, and that you have ups and downs, and these experiences all come in. And when I was looking after my farm, I mean, this is the other thing in this modern world that we live in, that now our parents, going from being a child again, the parents suddenly need us when they get elderly and they start suffering from things like dementia. And so you're trying to you're in the middle. You're this one in the middle. You've got your own kids you're trying to deal with, and then your parents are up there and they need you, and you're torn between the two, and it's not easy. I don't know what the point of what I'm trying to say is, and what I'm trying to elicit from you, the lovely viewer, in today's little discussion. But I suppose it's because I heard that my daughter was having a few issues, and I just thought, oh, she's on the other side of the world, and you want to help, don't you? Being a parent is a beautiful, wonderful, incredible thing, but it's also incredibly frustrating because you want to help, but you don't want to overstep the mark, and it's treading on eggshells sometimes, or you just want to open your arms up. And give them a cuddle. And the thing that often gets me is I miss my kids being kids. They've grown up, they've become their own person, they are who they are, they're individuals, they barely need you until they really need you, and then it's kind of like, well, I need a deposit on a house, Dad, can I have some money? It's like, oh my God, where do I get that from? How do I do that? You just sprung that on me? You just sprung, I was going to go on holiday and do this, and now I've got to, I miss my kids more than anything. The thing that brings me to tears of joy in some way and tears of regret, is that the kids grew up. That you look at old video or old photographs of them when they were innocent, young things, and you were a god to them. You were somebody special, the person they looked up to. And if you've got a child now who is anything between 2 and 10, nurture that time. Yes, I know it's frustrating. Yes, I know they can be idiotic and stupid and irritating and cause pain and have you to worry. But those years go so quickly. And to me, it's, each of my kids, when they were young, I felt more than anything else in my life, more than making videos, more than acting, performing, and all of that, being a dad to my young children who thought I was something was absolutely the best moments in my life. But they're fleeting and they go very quickly. I want to know, what do you think about being a parent? Have you got thoughts? Are there good things and bad things? Have you had those same frustrations? Are you consumed with worry, or do you just, they're fine? Wherever you are in your life as a parent, what's the highlight? What's the worst part of being a parent? If the human race is to carry on, you have to have children. You have to be the parent of somebody. You may be somebody who's decided to not be part of that, and that's your choice, and so I'm not really talking to you. I'm talking to those people who are parents. How do you feel about it? Let me know in the comments, and it'd be interesting to read them out. So let's have a quick look at at some of the comments then on yesterday's video and the previous videos. School uniforms I was talking about, and Susie Davis says, mortarboards, Richard, question mark, big heavy question mark. Surely a mortarboard and gown was only worn by the teacher and only because he had gained a degree. That may be true. I never went to university. I am as thick as anything, thick as two short planks, me, so please excuse my ignorance. That would only be in public schools such as Eton and Harrow, Allah, Mr. Chips or Will Hay. Yes, I appreciate that. And of course I said it just for effect. But as I say, I'm incredibly ignorant and stupid and very thick. So, the fact that anybody allows me to even make these videos is amazing. I'm taking advantage of it until somebody actually finds out. By the way, this mug has on it, on this side, Dad. Because, I'm a dad. Tilly Dog says about uniforms, I went to Davison's High School in East Worthing, which actually is not far from where I am, in the mid-1980s. And the uniform was pretty strict. As I remember it, they've got red berets, I think, that they wear, which is fascinating. About ghosts, and it's all very spooky and things. Blue Muse J says, first-time viewer here. Hello, first-time viewer. Very nice of you to come along. Thank you very much. The algorithm must have sent you my way. I believe it's a she, because I can see a lady in the little avatar. In fact, I will admit that the algorithm has been key in really breaking down my faith in a shameful way. But I've always wanted to believe. I do think that inside you that there is a sort of sense that we want to believe in something. We want to hold on to something in this world. I mean, we have got our parents, but maybe, that's not enough. Recently, she says, I ran across a channel that made me believe again, a psychic who pinpointed a murder to the nth degree because a woman and her husband killed her children in the name of God. So yes, I now have a new crisp faith in something that exists beyond us, something that believes in justice at the most basic level. Should spirituality really be all that complicated? Well, I don't know. You reminded me of an interview I heard on the radio about some third world country. I can't remember exactly where. And they were being attacked by another sort of third world country who had a lot more power. And the poor woman that was being interviewed through a translator had been raped, and she had two children. And one of the children's her daughters had also been raped and killed. And she had one child left, and her. And this woman said that she believed in her, whatever her faith was, her God. And that at the end, the presenter said, but what did you do? How did you cope? She said, well, I prayed. And I thought, this is really bizarre, because you've prayed, you've had faith in a God, and this God has allowed not only you to be raped, but one of your daughters to be raped and killed. And yes, you've survived and the other daughter has survived, but isn't, and yet you believed in this God to protect you from these things in the first place. And you've still gone back to your God? I find that so, it's almost like, you've let me down. I'm sorry. I'm not having it. But I don't know how it works. Carl Chapman, talking about school uniforms, says school clothes are cheap. I guess it depends on your budget. I don't know that if you've got 3 children to kit out and you don't have much money, it depends on what you call by cheap. All the big chain supermarkets sell school uniforms. People should get their priorities right. Stop spending money they don't have on cigarettes and wine. Well, I totally agree with you there. Absolutely. When people say, they say, oh, these people here are poor. And you have a look through the window and you see they're smoking, they're drinking, and they're watching Sky Television, in which they have a subscription for, and a massive television. You go, they don't look very poor to me. People, when they say they're poor, I mean, I think poor when you look at these old Victorian photographs of children with no shoes on, in clothes that are almost as rags, they have no furniture, and they're in a real slum condition. To me, that's poor. And they're not getting handouts from the government. But we live in different times and people have different sensibilities, I suppose. Michael White says regarding uniforms, you should watch the interview between Stephen Fry and Jordan Peterson about God and faith. Should I? Why should I? Jesus suffered the worst kind of death. Well, we don't really know, do we? We've only got it's not like there's a video evidence of it. We've only got hearsay. I mean, we can take it at face value or faith having it. It is a man who inflicts pain on his fellow man. We blame God for not stepping in to stop suffering, but by doing that, he would take away our free will. Well, I'm not sure that I don't understand all of this. Anyway, we're not really arguing about, especially about uniforms. But I'm not. When I say anything about God or those sort of things, I'm not criticising anybody else's belief. They're entitled to their belief. I have to say these caveats because people then think that I'm having a go at them personally. I'm not trying to have a go at people personally. I'm not trying to upset people or insult people. These are just my thoughts. I believe in free speech. I believe that it's important to have an opinion and to share that opinion, and that other people do not have to agree with that opinion, and they can say, do you know what? I still like you. You're still okay, but I just disagree. And we can all disagree and we can all get on. That's what it is. So I find it hard to understand all the God stuff, but I understand that people will disagree with me, and you're quite right to disagree. Finally, then, we'll do two more and then that's it. David Lavender says, when I was at secondary school in the early 1980s, the uniform was simple: black or dark grey trousers, white shirt, black shoes, cheap school tie, but all the tie easily available at my local store. The simplicity still allowed us to express our individuality. For example, you could clearly see who was a mod, a goth, or a new romantic, or which football team they supported. And that's the thing. I think you don't want to take away people's individuality by trying to squeeze them into a uniform that makes us all drones, because we're not. We're people, and we're only going to school to learn. That's the purpose, aren't we? We're trying to learn stuff. We're not trying to go to school to have our personality stamped on. Andy Dalgleish says, I understand your point of view. We're incredibly fortunate in this country. In Japan, school children must have neutral coloured hair. No makeup or jewellery. Wearing white underwear was compulsory, and there were inspections. Can you imagine that? Lift your skirt, lass. Until recently. How terrible is that? There are no school cleaners. The children are expected to do it themselves. Well, actually, I wouldn't disagree with that. I think if too much is done for kids, they don't appreciate. I mean, I think it's good to get the kids to do the washing up at home. You've provided them with a roof over their, at a certain age, not when they're 2 or 3 because they don't understand the principle, but when they get to about 7 or 8, I think it's absolutely that they should be able to help wash up or do chores around the house. You're providing free accommodation, a roof over their head, heating if you can afford it, and with the crisis going forward, perhaps we can't afford it, all of that. And I think it's important that kids get to do a bit. Okay, maybe at school, cleaning out the bogs, that would be a pretty horrible task and would take away from their learning. I'm not suggesting that they do that actually as such. But if you can involve the kids, I always think with children, particularly young children, give them things to do, make them feel important, give them responsibility. If you do everything for your child, absolutely everything, they become, and this is one of the problems in society I would suggest, is that we do too much for people, and so that they feel entitled. That, my human rights. I feel that I should do this. The government always helps out. The government must help me out in every situation whatsoever. I mustn't do anything. I mustn't even lift a finger. In fact, work from home. I don't even have to go to the office anymore. I just sit here. No, send me a computer. I'll work. But you've got to send me a computer, and I want a much higher, faster internet connection. Thank you very much. Give kids things to do. Give them responsibility to make them feel they're contributing, to make them a reason to be proud and to be proud of your kids. That's what I would suggest. So I absolutely agree with you there. So there we go. Anyway, there we are. Thank you very much for that. Keep the comments coming. Really enjoy reading those. And what's it like being a parent for you? If you're a parent, I want to know, what's your biggest worry? What's the highlight of being a parent? Shove them in the comments. We'll read them out. Won't be a show tomorrow, Saturday. I am away on the Bald Explorer Walk. If you want to come along to the Bald Explorer Walk, we're going to be at Titchfield Common. Forget where the car park is. It's in Hampshire. Check out on the Walking with the Bald Explorer Facebook page, Bald Explorer Walking Group, and all the details will be there. And so probably shows over the weekends will stop anyway, because one's trying to do bits and bobs. We'll try and keep these Monday to Friday as much as I can, although occasionally they may pop up, so who knows. Don't listen to me. I know nothing. Thank you for watching. Take care, and I'll see you next time.